Hello, can everybody hear us? We're just having some real bad technical difficulties, so if everybody can hear us and see us, can you just write a message in the comments box, just so we know we're live and we're ready to go. So we're running a little bit late. The Wi-Fi was running a little bit slow, I think. So if everyone can just type a message in the box, that'd be great. Save it as a right message.
Right, so we've got one with the scene here.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a lag, so if everyone could just type a message just to say hi in the text box, and then we'll be ready to go. Love technology.
That's why I work with weights all the time.
Fine. It's saying only one viewer for some reason. We've got one. Yes, you can see us. Oh, yeah. They're all coming through now.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
We'll blame John's Wi-Fi. Okay, so yeah, thanks for attending the webinar. Just wanted to say as well, we understand that you're really busy at home, so we really appreciate you, making the effort to come on and listen to what we have to say. This is really going to benefit you. We're going to be talking in some real depth about mindset and kind of what it takes to get to the right mindset to get really quick results. So we're going to go straight into my background and also John's background as well, because together we've got pretty much 20 years of experience working in the fitness industry, which is really cool. We've also got one of John's clients who's coming on, who's going to be sharing some of her success and what it's taken for her to get into some amazing shape. I didn't actually realize how well she'd done in the 12 weeks until John told me just before. So that'd be really interesting for you guys to watch as well, how she got into shape in such a short space of time and what it took for her to make that shift. So we are going to go into a little bit of background about ourselves. We'll keep it kind of short and sweet because obviously we've had a bit of a delay. But I just wanted to introduce John as well. John's work, we've actually teamed up and created a brand new training company, which is going to be packaging up the whole training, nutrition and mindset all in one package, which you don't really get in gyms or kind of boot camps, that kind of thing. So it's a very kind of special product we've created, which is the Unstoppable Results Formula, which we'll be launching going into the new year. But what we'll do is I'll just pass you who wants to share a bit of his background with you, because I think a lot of you guys know me. I'm sure I've got some people on board the webinar tonight who know John as well, and obviously I'll explain a little bit of background about myself, but I'll let you go ahead and
cool.
Take the reins.
Okay, well, as Greg has just said, my name's John. Basically, I have been in the fitness industry in one way or another, from a martial arts background or being a personal trainer and now a gym owner for probably over 10 years now. Myself and Greg have started working together. We have quite a similar client base, really. And I think just to give you a little bit of background about myself, you'll see why this is relevant as we go into it. That first of all, although my passion really is fitness and health and well-being, it's something that I do myself every single day. I'm also a single parent. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl, aged 9 and 10, and my daughter is severely disabled. So I have those 2. I have to do all the same things that you have to do. I then have to run my own business, and I have to deal with Greg on a daily basis. So if you think you've got it tough,
I'm a big kid.
So I have 3 children. Only one of them's taller than me. So I do have a busy lifestyle, and I really sort of understand a lot of the things that my clients go through and the pressures that they're under.
Whereas I have no children, no girlfriend. It's just a lonely life for me.
So yeah, my background was actually sales and marketing. I had to give that job up when I got divorced. Ended up with my 2 children who were preschool. I thought I'm just going to do something which I'm really passionate about, which I've been in and out of gym since about 15 years old. So I decided to bite the bullet and try and earn some money as a personal trainer. Never really looked back since then. I've been helping years, and hopefully, as we go through these webinars, going to be able to share some of the amazing results we've had with clients, and hopefully can get for you guys as well over the next few weeks. So that's basically me.
Okay, well, cool. I mean, some of you obviously know my background. I started as a personal trainer when I was 21 years old. Didn't really have it, well, I was good at the fitness side of it, but there was a lot of kind of the missing key elements in what I was seeing in the industry was obviously mindset. Because I'm a big believer in, you can go onto Google and find out anything you want pretty much about fat loss and getting results, but the key is really implementing it. And it is mainly people's mindsets holding them back, kind of different belief systems. Obviously nutrition is a big key as well. So something that's structured is really important rather than kind of doing a bit of everything because you never really know where you're going. We're going to go into that a little bit later on in the webinar, but basically I started as a personal trainer. I had a lot of trainers working for me when I was about 26. Then I just realized that I didn't really need trainers because I could kind of leverage my own skills, and I've been working online as well. So I've created cookbooks, nutrition programs, and obviously created this new program structure with John as well. So that's kind of my background. I'm very interested in nutrition, the mindset of why people are not getting into shape that that they can potentially get into. So yeah, like I was saying before, I don't have the commitments that John has. So I think a lot of people can resonate with that. But that's kind of been a choice of mine where I don't personally think I'm ready for a family. That's just me personally. Like maybe in a few years it'll be a different story. But I've got a lot of things that I want to do in my life before I obviously get into that kind of into that situation. I've probably got a lot of growing up to do as well. I mean, I'm only 31, but I feel like I've got a lot more to kind of work on myself personally before I go into that. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, so we're not going to go on about ourselves too much. We wanted to really get into some like juicy stuff for you guys and really help you if you are struggling with your mindsets. Hopefully what we've got to share is going to get you kind of fired up, ready to get off your backside, maybe just like work on your mindset a little bit and just give you a few kind of tips and a few kind of drills that you can use in your own lifestyle that's going to give you a bit more of a clear system to get the results. So do you want to
well, I think obviously we talked about instead of just coming on here and saying, well, we think you should do this and do that, we kind of share some of the experiences that we've had as trainers of when we start working with clients, kind of the things that they say to us, the reasons why it's not worked in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So almost like the reasons why people haven't been able to make that change and kind of make that step and commit to this whole new lifestyle, which essentially you've got to really buy into.
Yeah.
So look at a few of the things why people have said or haven't actually sort of got the results that they want. Even if they started to come change, maybe they're not 100% into why they're doing it. So, in what sort of things would you say come up?
Well, I think people putting so much pressure on themselves is a massive thing. You know, one of my big takeaways, which we'll go into later, is kind of seeing the issue. A lot of people try and blow, you know, the whole results into this like massive scary thing. You know, rather than kind of seeing the problem as it is. So, for example, if someone wants to drop 2 dress sizes, they can make that into such like an enormous problem. But if they follow like a natural strategy, they stick into the same thing.
Do you think that's because they're saying, well, I want to lose, I need to lose 5 stone all of a sudden, or I want to lose 4 dress sizes, and they're actually thinking, I've got to lose 5 stone. That is a lot of work. That's, you know, that's going to take a long while. Because people kind of lose sight of what they're doing it for because they're just looking at something which isn't particularly achievable particularly quickly.
The picture can be like really overwhelming, and whenever we like start a program with someone, we always look at kind of look at meeting the client where they're at. So rather than asking the client, you know, what is your goal for 12 months time, we kind of try and understand where that client's at right now, so we can almost just start getting some momentum with the results.
Yeah.
You know, rather than saying, okay, well, you want to lose 6 stone, let's go for it. It's quite an overwhelming task. A much softer approach, a much easier approach, and hopeful is to kind of meet the client where they're at and start putting a strategy together.
So this is something that we were talking a couple of weeks ago. We were actually talking about how we would conduct what we call a kind of a strategy when we first meet a new client.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get together with them and discuss the strategy of sort of where they want to get to. But kind of the first questions we're always asking the client are things like, why do you want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where you're starting. So whereas you possibly go to see, probably all had it, where you've gone and seen a salesman that's just telling you, we're doing this, and we're doing that, and we're going to do this, and it's going to cost this much, and it'll take this on.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
understanding
why are you doing this? What's the number one reason for doing it? There's all sorts of different reasons that people come up with. It's from major health benefits to wanting to run around the park with the kids at the weekend to...
It's actually quite an eye-opener when you actually start discussing, we call it the big why. So you have to understand why you're doing a program in the first place, because if you don't know why you're doing it, then A, you're not going to value it, and B, you're not going to know where you're going. So it's like taking a car and going to a destination. If you don't know where you're going, you're just going to be driving around just aimlessly doing what everyone else is doing, like getting stuck in traffic.
Yeah,
that's a really
so
great
it's
analogy.
Almost like it's almost like I want to lose 2 stone. Why do you want to lose 2? I want to lose 2 stone is kind of the means to getting to somewhere else. That's not the.
Yeah, so if you don't know why you're doing it, then it's probably not that important. But you know, that's our job to kind of bring that out in the person, is to get them to understand why they're doing it in the first place, and then it's a lot easier to kind of put the kind of map in place, the kind of path together. Yeah. So I think, you know, definitely when you start a program, you have to understand why you're doing it. I think that's massive. Also, we've got anxiety. So if someone was anxious about doing a program, you know, that's also going to put on the brakes to, you know, to help them getting the results. A lot of people have a lot of different beliefs. So things they've done in the past. I'm not going to mention any names about diet groups, but diet groups in particular, you know, people have done them and then they've failed, and then they go back and then they fail. So whenever, I mean, you've no idea how many clients I get come to me who've done diet groups. And my number one question when I ask them, well, they say it works, but then I say, how many times have you been back? And they say something like 5, and I'm like, okay, it hasn't worked. And they say, yeah, it did last time. I'm like, no, it hasn't worked, because if it worked, then you would have changed your lifestyle and you wouldn't have had to go back. It's as simple as that, because everything has to be in education. It's so important. So beliefs are massive. If you've got a belief that if you're going to try and lose weight again, and then you're going to put it back on again, then the kind of the chances of you to, getting to that goal are going to be quite slim, because you're just going to be completely fed up. So there's a lot of beliefs around getting results that doesn't work, so people give up. Also,
I think people are after as well. The magic bullet, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's they've seen somebody who's started shakes for 3 weeks. How long did it for? And the weight's absolutely dropped off them. So that's really worked for them. Obviously, it doesn't work long term. They're going to end up heavier than they were in the first place. But everyone's just after this quick fix solution, which kind of doesn't exist.
And I mentioned this to you the other day tonight about if someone's got into the position over the space of, we get quick results. Like, obviously Lauren's got amazing results.
Oh yeah, we're going to show you some amazing results.
But what I try and get people to understand, I know this is about quick results, and we get that. But if you've been in a, say for example, you've let yourself go over a few years, you've got to kind of accept that and come to terms that it might take the same amount of time to kind of get beyond where you started. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with going to the gym all the time and bettering yourself, because you're constantly making yourself feel better. We get really quick results, as you'll see with Lauren, but I always make it clear that if you've been damaging yourself for a year, then expect to spend a year putting it back together, because you can get quick results, but that's not a transformation. A transformation is something you take on for the rest of your life. And you can make a change initially, and you can start getting results. But if you do something over 12 weeks and you don't carry on and you slip back into your habit,
I think this comes back to kind of this fear of failure, and actually more like the perception of failure. So if you think you've got to go on this diet and it's got to be absolutely perfect, and you start clients with it, you spend such a battle that you say to them, no one can be perfect all the time, unlike us.
Well, look at me agreeing.
Absolutely fine. I must say, this weekend's professor. It's like people say, well, I'm going to go low carb and I'm going to stay low carb. You can't do that. You cannot possibly do that. And then when people say, right, that's it.
Well,
if they're going from, I'm drinking red wine every single night, that's it, I'm never drinking again.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
So, it's really... But this fear of failure, so they kind of fail at what they're trying to do because it's not sustainable, not achievable, and then they just end up face down in a Domino's somewhere, at the end of the weekend, and it's complete fall off the wagon. So maybe sort of step away from that all or nothing approach.
And it's when they hit that pain. So when they've woken up, say for example, you've had a really mega holiday, and then people come home and they're see themselves in the mirror and they're like, shit. And it's like that pain, it's like that initial pain that makes them change again. But then it projects them into kind of being too clean, too strict, overwhelming themselves again, and then eventually you fall off the wagon because you can't keep it up and sustain it. So that's why, obviously, we talk about lifestyle changes, can get fast results, but I'm a big believer in a transformation is a transformation in here, where you take the results further than 12 weeks. It's all very good and well doing a transformation program for 12 weeks. But if you paid a lot of money to do something like that, and it's not been something that you're enjoying or having sustainable in your life, then it's going to be a waste of money. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think you're far better off paying the right amount of money for something which lasts 3 months, and then you don't have to do it again, or you can do it again if you want to. But kind of at the end of the process, what diet works best for you. You know how to exercise effectively. You're kind of fired up and motivated to either stay where you are or keep changing, or at the end of that process, you've changed as a person. However long that process takes, and sometimes it does take longer. Some people just straight into it. That's quite rare. So
I just wanted to go back to the anxiety again as well, because I try and install this into my clients' minds quite a lot. The approach, you're quite anxious about starting a program, like me personally, when I'm anxious about something, I just do it. So I've conditioned myself to just be like that over the last few years. So if I'm worried about doing something, or if I'm overthinking something, like being too internal dialogue all the time and things going around in my head, should I, shouldn't I, then I just make a decision. And actually making a decision takes you out of anxiety. So once you approach it head on, it might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but then it becomes your new normal. So if you're worried about kind of doing like a new training plan or a new nutrition plan, anything like that, or any kind of area of your life, you know, even, I mean, this can stem to like, you know, having the confidence to go out dating and all these things, you know, and having the confidence to, you know, join any sort of group, or
when you put it into this situation, and especially when you come into our gym, which is kind of very different to walking into any of your mainstream gyms, because it's a private area. But think about it. Step back. Think about it for a second. Is that fear rational? What is the worst that's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Really? What? You can turn up, be absolute garbage at training. Yeah.
You're not going to worse.
So what? So what?
Yeah, it absolutely doesn't matter. Like, you should have seen me 3 years ago when I started making videos and webinars. I was like this. I was like, I couldn't literally get my words out. And then the more I did it, you know, I just got more comfortable with being in front of camera. Obviously, my technical skills have not got any better because we were late coming on. But, no, I'll be honest, it was my technical skills. But it is literally just pushing yourselves to do something that you wouldn't normally do, and that's how you get some. That's what's talking about that momentum. Like if you come once, it's like, oh, it wasn't so bad. You do it again. You know, 4 weeks in, you've dropped a dress size. You know, you dropped 6% body fat. You're feeling good about yourself again, and then you look back and you think, like, what were you worried about? Like, there's been so many areas in my life which I've forced myself to go into unwillingly, just because I know it's going to make me grow as a person. And you know, I get a little bit kind of spiritual about all this stuff and weird, but you know, I'm here on this planet once, and I want to be like the best person I can be, like regardless. I'm like so committed, like even to, you know, like I mean, we've been working together what, a couple of weeks, and and it's just like we'll get it started and done.
Absolutely. So we've made some sort of quite, you know, just made some moves.
Yeah.
But we're big believers that. It's uncomfortable. I think it's uncomfortable thinking about doing it, but then when you do it, it's no big deal.
Yeah, because the land of indecision place to be. If you're indecisive, it's like, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? You're stuck in the same position. If you don't do it, then
a lot of people, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next week.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're trying to overwhelm themselves and creating that big vision. It is literally just about getting the wheels in motion and just getting some results.
What are some of the reasons that you've heard from people to why they can't do it? What are the barriers to
this is funny because I actually, like when I was first starting out, I actually wanted clients to come on board. You know, this is like really early days. Because I actually wanted to show off the results to people, you know, because I'm, you know, very much about getting the message out there that we get results. So I wanted people to come on board free, and I couldn't even get people to do the free training. Do you know what I mean?
Too much.
So yeah, I mean, it has nothing to do with money. It comes back to this big why about why someone wants to do it and that value which they place on it.
Yeah. I'm just talking about the sort of general excuses. I mean, I hear things all the time. Oh, I've not got time to do it. How long do you think it takes?
Yeah, time.
I can't afford to do it. Really? You know, you can afford how much takeaway every night? Every night. It doesn't cost that much.
Yeah, I got a loan first started getting into. Obviously, running a business by yourself, you have to kind of learn and go on different courses. And you know, if I hadn't gone on them courses, then I won't be in the position I am now, helping more people. So that's really valuable to me. You know, my first mentoring course cost me £5,000, and I had to get a loan. But like looking back, I am so glad I did that. You know, I didn't have the money, but you know, I wasn't going to stop there. You know, I had to go and find the money and get on with it. So excuses, yes, you can find them. You know, it's like anything. If you can find anything in anything. So, for example, you can find an excuse not to do anything. You know, or you can find a reason.
And this kind of comes back full circle to you finding excuses because you've not identified what is the main reason, what's the driving factor for why you want to do it. Mm-hmm. It's like giving up smoking. So, you know, if you're a smoker, if you're a smoker and you actually quite like it, and maybe it's a bit expensive, then you're not going to be able to give up smoking. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do it because I've got some kids and I want to be alive for them, that's the reason. And
when's the time most people give up something? It's when they hit that kind of shit, this could kill me, or you know, their daughter turns around to them and says, "Mummy, I don't want you to die," or something like that.
I don't know about you, but I have loads of clients that have come to me and said, "Do you know what? I ran up the stairs the other day and I was knackered. I was out of breath." Lauren's holding her hand up. Well, do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. I went to the park at the weekend with the kids and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't play football with my son.
Yeah, and it hits that kind of.
And you know, you actually have to, maybe you have to hit rock bottom, or you know, something which is going to just give you that massive shock to say, I've got to make that change.
Yeah.
And you maybe need to have that.
And it's like a subconscious thing, isn't it? Because people subconsciously wait for that moment. It's like prevention is much better than the cure. It's a lot easier to start preventing things than wait for something really bad to happen and then try and fix it.
But like saying that, I've just said, that's something that I hear regularly. I hear it all the time. So if you're sort of sat here watching this thinking, "God, that's me," but I'm too unfit to start doing this, because seriously, that is one of the big things I hear all the time. I'm too unfit to come and exercise.
The whole point
That's
is
the point.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I can understand why someone would say that. It would be because obviously they're a little bit nervous about, you know, it comes back to that anxiety side again, you know, joining a new program, there's going to be different people there. It's like going, I mean, I remember my first day at school, it was like, oh my God, it was like probably the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
But then, you know, a couple of weeks in, actually, I had a massive fight on my first day at school. But it was all right.
This isn't a good example.
Yeah.
It actually was that
bad. No, I remember I was actually my first day at school and someone started picking on me. Like it was a really bad decision on their behalf because I've just got my black belt for karate. So we went into the park and it was just an easy win. But what we're talking about? Yeah, coming back
to the stories is something upsets you can take them out.
Yeah, just kick ass. But yeah, it comes back to that anxiety, and joining a new program can be really daunting. But what I'm saying is, you know, a couple of weeks in, 3 weeks in, then you just get into that kind of new.
I think it's amazing. It's so gratifying as a trainer to see that attitude change at that point. You know, when there's just that click and people are coming in, and it's almost like the whole focus has changed. Mm-hmm. And it's a different person walks through the door and they're kind of really geared up and they want to pick more up and they want to push stuff further and faster, and they can see the fitness coming on, and they've dropped a clothes size already, and it's, you know, to see that person walk through the door is the most amazing feeling personally as a trainer.
It doesn't have to be difficult either. Like,
no.
I go on kind of the best analogy I can think of is kind of releasing the brakes on getting results. So rather than trying to like go harder all the time and trying to, kind of push, like, so you're literally killing yourself in the session. You don't have to do that. Like once you align the training with the nutrition, it can be quite effortless, can't it? I mean, people love to push themselves, which is great, but there is ways of taking the brakes off a little bit and getting results. You know, for example, if I'm working with a client, then I'm very interested in what they're doing out of the gym, as well as coming in the gym as well, because there's 23 hours in a day. If they're coming in twice a week, that's only 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week, for example. For the rest of that week, if they're doing what they want, or not doing what they want, if they're not educated, and they're just working with a trainer that is literally just working on the training, then obviously that's a big part of their week, which is which is not
you know,
getting results through nutrition. We're not going to go into nutrition today, but it's kind of understanding that you can release the brakes a little bit.
Yeah,
rather than just going hard.
We'll go into loads more detail on that next week on the next webinar. But yeah, that's quite right. It doesn't need to be perfect.
No.
At all.
Do you want me to just touch on the cause and effect, and then we can get...
Sure. Yeah. And obviously what we are going to do towards the end of this is give you kind of we've kind of talked about the reasons why people don't change. We're going to kind of go into some of the absolute, real easy, key, obvious things that you can just do for free to make a big change.
Yeah.
Dead basic. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just before we bring Lauren on to inspire you guys, we are going to, I'm just going to talk about the cause and effects dead briefly, and it just kind of puts things in perspective. What's the word? Perspective. Perspective. It goes back to what I was saying before about how, you know, you have to kind of expect to put the effort in to fixing yourself, because, you know, you've got into that position, and then you have to take responsibility for being in that position, and then work out the best strategies to get out of that position. And what it comes down to is the cause and effect. So every single cause which you do in your life, so every single little action that you've done in your life has ended up to cause an effect. So what that means is, for example, if you go out every weekend and you're drinking 10 pints every weekend, that little action builds up and builds up and builds up until the point where you're in a position where you need to get, you know, your stuff sorted again. So that's what the cause and effect means. So this goes into lifestyle changes as well. So, I mean, you have no problem having, for example, someone having 2 takeaways a week and going out once a week. You have absolutely no problem with that. But then you're going to moan about the position you're in right now, which is probably not a great one. Not you personally, but I'm just talking in general with the client. So this goes into lifestyle changes. And if you make the little changes over a long period of time again, then that cause is going to have an effect, ongoing, until eventually you're just kind of rolling into this new lifestyle change. And then eventually, say 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line, you're going to have a much better experience, rather than trying to be like really harsh on yourself, then really bad, really harsh on yourself, really bad. So that's what cause and effect means. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Okay, so we're going to bring Lauren on. I'm going to move out of the way because this is John's plane, and I'll leave you guys to it for a second.
Thank you.
Okay, grab a seat. So, introduce Lauren to you. Before Lauren starts talking, everyone away, Lauren. In the last, you know, we talked about kind of quite big results that we get with clients, and we were just working this out before, and Lauren's allowed me to show you one of the results we've got with it. Now, this is in 12 weeks, and I can assure you, Lauren has far from starved herself. We, you know, you kind of eat really, really well. There's a bit of, you know, there's some flexibility in it. We've had a good laugh with the trainer. She comes in and trains really hard, certainly goes for it with my husband. In 12 weeks, Lauren has lost, keep on going, keep on going, that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 43 centimetres in 12 weeks, which I think is pretty
Yeah.
yeah. So looking, we started this whole process. How are you feeling? What sort of place were you at?
Bad place, basically. I didn't enjoy how I felt. I was kind of in a bit of a catch-22 scenario, so I didn't feel good, so I ate bad food. And then I didn't feel good because I was eating bad food, and it was just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
I wasn't sleeping very well. I was waking 3 or 4 times a night.
Sure.
Felt bloated a lot. I struggle with IBS.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of stomach problems, and just generally not feeling very good in myself. So we'd go on nights out, and I'd always feel like the grumpy friend, and I didn't really want to go out. I didn't enjoy going out because I always felt like I had to cover up and wear baggy clothing. Incredibly unfit, as you said before, running up a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
That was a big thing for me. I'd get to just walking up a flight of stairs and I'd be going, and I thought that's not right.
So was that all kind of quite a major impact on in all aspects of your life? Because I quite often find that, you know, if you're feeling sort of negative and down about yourself, then yeah, it's going to affect your nights out, and it's going to, you kind of keep going with this negative behaviour, and I've got no energy, and it's affecting work.
Definitely.
And, you know, it's not like you're doing badly at work, but you're just kind of not firing on all cylinders, if you like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what would you say then? It must have got to a point. What was kind of the big number one motivation for giving me a call in the first place?
My long-term goal, and it still is to this day, is children. So I wanted to be, when I was pregnant, eating the right foods.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be putting crap into my body. And putting on even more weight and feeling uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
And eventually when they grow up, actually being able to interact with them and run around with them and not being sluggish. Matt proposed to me back a couple of years ago, and that was kind of the kickstart for us to kind of contact you.
Yeah.
I've had several gym memberships. I've been a part of these numerous weight loss companies, and they've never worked.
Why would you say that is?
Because you almost feel like this is it, and this is what you've got to stick to. And then I'd get to day 4 and I'd have a chocolate bar and I'd go, oh well, fall off the wagon, no point in starting, I'll start again next week.
So it's all very kind of, everyone's doing the same thing, and this is what you've got to do. And
and it was all, it was quite demotivating as well. You go in, you get weighed, and it was very much like you'd maintained, and you'd feel demoralised. There was no more from that. You'd not lost, or you may have lost a pound, and it wasn't. And then that's it. You had a bit of a chat, and then you went on your merry way. There was no guidance really for me and that kind of thing. So, in gyms, I'd have a membership. It'd be really good for 3 months, and I'd go twice a week. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just doing a bit of running. Cross. And then I just.
And were you getting any sort of results at all from that? I mean, tonight isn't about results as such. Really. I mean, obviously you had an amazing result, but so it was really just a case of you losing interest with it.
Interest, and my biggest thing, and I said this to you when I first started, I was happy to kind of a little bit let myself down when I was in that place, whereas I knew this would push me, and I'd probably see better results that I would want than I was pushing myself at the gym.
So kind of was there a point when you decide, obviously saying you've identified this overriding goal, that okay, you know, you're getting married soon, and then we've obviously talked about looking really good for the honeymoon and the wedding itself and this sort of thing. But you mentioned that children was kind of it's kind of there. It's the one. Was there a point when you really thought, right, I absolutely have to make this change? And we sort of talked before about things which happen, which give you a bit of a shock.
Yes and no in a roundabout way. We've got diabetes in our family, and cirrhosis and asthma and all sorts of illnesses going down the thing. And I think just as I've kind of matured a little bit in myself, I've kind of gone, they're actually serious things now. Whereas previously I could go out every weekend drinking, 5-6 years ago.
Right.
And I don't know, it just hit home to me that I've been kind of making these excuses of going to.
So I think that's possibly, quite a key thing there. The focus of a lot of these things in gyms is weight loss.
Yeah.
You come in here for weight loss, you come in here for inch loss. Whereas what we're trying to get to tonight is, well, that is the means of getting to the real objective, which in your case, such as feeling healthier, if there's this history of disease in the family, then giving yourself the best chance possible and for your children in the future.
Yeah.
You know, that is motivation for me.
Yeah.
Losing a stone is...
Weight's never been a driver for me.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest thing for me is how I feel in my
Sure.
clothes. When I stood on that photograph with all my friends and when I'm running upstairs,
Yeah.
it makes a massive difference. The other day, I run up 4 flights of stairs, and when I got to the top, I hadn't even realised. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't
Right.
where I was just walking up my home stairs, and I was shattered before I started.
Right.
So it's just those little
So
things
then
that
how
you
would
know.
you say that your mindset and attitude has changed as we've kind of gone through this process? What's different in you now?
When I kind of first started training, it was very much, we've got training Monday and Wednesday. Not a negative thing, just a you know, kind of that's in the week. Now it's not even a question. It's such a part of our lifestyle now that if we go, oh, we're not going training on Monday, I enjoy coming. As John will probably tell a lot of you, I'm quite an angry worker, so sometimes I'll have a bad day at work and I'll come in and I'll be
She brings a husband in who gets both barrels, and I'm quite happy to be honest, so it's fine.
And do you know what? When I'm in that place and I've had such a stressful day at work, I love coming here because I walk out skipping because I've fueled all that frustration into my workout and I've pushed myself harder and achieved more in that workout. And it's just fantastic. My attitude to food has changed massively. I'm now picking healthier stuff because I actually enjoy it more. And you know, we're all human. If I do have to slip back and have a burger afterwards, I feel dirty, basically. I can feel
I
it.
mean, that's more of a physical thing. You know, we've worked quite hard on the nutrition with Lauren and Matt, and tried a few different approaches. It's always trial and error. Everyone's different, so we're not going into nutrition tonight. But there's always been some flexibility in there if they're going out for meals and this sort of thing. It's not an issue, and there's various strategies we can employ, or we can build in flexibility into diet plans. It's no huge big deal, and it doesn't need to be perfect to get big results.
I suppose the biggest thing is, like I said before, when I was on previous diets, you know, day 4 I'd have a chocolate bar and then I'd just fall the wagon and stay off for the next week. Now I don't. I go, okay, so I've had a chocolate bar and tomorrow it's a new day. So rather than looking at it in stacks of weeks, my mentality completely has changed about...
Sure, so it wouldn't be a case of it's not being perfect, I'm going into some massive downward spiral and binging out, because I think I put a status on Twitter or something a few weeks back, and it was a cheat meal isn't a cheat meal if it's all part of the plan. So, you know, kind of that sort of thing, you know, get out all this cheating, it's all good. So I think really the final question for you through all of this change you've gone through is, would you go back? Would you go back to the old you?
No, definitely not. And I was even talking to my husband about it, going, do you know when we have a baby and it's not even on the cards yet, but I was like, do you think John will let me come training with it when it's just a few weeks old? He was like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, because you can use the things for curls.
Well, exactly. So, you know,
it's all fun.
But, you know, I'm already thinking about the fact, and the other thing, because when I spoke to my doctor about it years ago, I was like, you know, training, and she said, if you're so used to training, you'll continue to be able to train, obviously to an extent, because your body will be used to it. Because when you don't train and then you get pregnant and you try new things, that's when your body can't cope. So I'm already kind of in my head thinking, right, so I know that obviously there's going to be a stint of time that I can't do training. I'm already thinking about coming back, and we're not even had a baby yet, so. But we're thinking.
Fantastic. I think it's really gratifying for me, though, as you know, this is something myself and Greg we're so passionate about. And, you know, we talked about this, that, okay, whilst it is a business, for us, the reason we do this because we're making this impact on people's lives. It's an absolute privilege to be part of that journey, and then to have people come in and make that change to the lifestyles and the mindset is just absolutely amazing. And when people get it right, there's no stopping them, and it's an absolute honour to be part that whole process.
Yeah.
So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm back, the ugly one.
I really am just here for eye candy.
So yeah, where do you want to go now with this? So we're running out of time really. So we've got some real kind of takeaways, not Indian or Chinese, like some takeaways for you, some mindset tips that you can take away that you can just kind of that will probably make some sense to you moving forward. If you are struggling a little bit, we've got six big things that we want to tell you about. And it was just really good to hear Lauren's success as well. So one thing actually I wanted to talk about was habits as well. With Lauren's kind of lifestyle changes, she is into that habit now of, if she does something a little bit kind of sneaky, a little bit, like John says, a cheat meal. It's not a cheat meal. Cheat meal if it's in the plan, so it's not such a big deal. So it's really great to see that you can kind of get really good results and you're not so hard on yourself. You can do those kind of things and then you just get back on track. That's a really great mindset to be in, when you can just get, snap out of it. The other thing I wanted to talk about was habits of when you are following a really good nutrition plan. If you do like really well on that week, what most people tend to do is they have like a cheat meal or a treat. It's like, and it's almost like they're treating themselves with something bad. What you want to do is you want to change that treat to something that's actually going to be of, that's something that's going to benefit you. So for example, if I work really hard in a week, I don't necessarily go out for like a really big greasy meal. I book myself a massage. And that's just what I do personally. So I don't treat food as a treat. So if I work really hard and I've been training hard, things are going really well in my business. The first thing I think about is I'm going to book a nice relaxing massage. I don't think I'm going to have a cake because I've really earned that. You haven't earned that cake. It's a really bad pattern and a really bad habit that you get yourself into. And it just takes that little switch to give yourself a little bit of, what's the word? A little bit of love for yourself and change those habits into something different. It might feel a little bit uncomfortable to start with, but once you do that change of habit for a few weeks, you'll get into the routine of doing it, and that's all habits are. It's just routine. So I don't know whether you want to add anything onto that.
No, I think that's quite right. And again, not delving too deep into the nutrition side of it, but if you don't train for a couple of days, or if you have a few drinks, or you have something which isn't kind of exactly sticking to what we're trying to achieve, it's no big deal. And like you say, not to reward yourself with food, because at the end of the day, you're not a dog. Unless you are a dog that's watching. I don't know. For me, I don't buy trainers.
Right. What would you do, Lauren?
Oh, no, you put me
I know. I just like that. Put you on the spot.
we tend to go out to like cinema or something like that.
Right. Okay.
Which some people.
Now, what do you buy that Matt doesn't know about?
Oh, shh.
Shoes. There we go.
Clothes.
Yeah, so example, like buying something really nice and fitting because you've earned that, and that's a great thing to do, not to kind of, obsess over, I've been really good all week, I'm going to have, a hot dog or a massive cake up.
Yeah, I personally, my diet's really very nailed on, I train really hard, but I know what I can get away. I don't sort of consider when I have days which are not absolutely on plan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider that a treat. I just consider that's kind of part of what I'm doing. It's built into what I'm doing. It's just part of the process, and it keeps me sane. And there's a good argument. Keeps my hair looking good. But you know what I mean? It's kind of. Oh God.
I'm completely ruined that for you now.
I'm not bothered now.
Yeah, and I actually made a video on this last week on my Facebook page as well, about how when I was in London, I was at a seminar. I was doing I was learning some stuff down there, and the food that they laid out was terrible. I wasn't prepared, but I made a video after I was eating the food, and I was just like, I feel dreadful eating this food because I've been eating it for about a day and a half. But I wasn't panicking because I've educated myself that much that I know what I'm doing when I get home. I wasn't panicking about it. Yes, I felt like, I mean, for me, like, I'll have a sandwich and I feel bad, but because I'm on a different kind of level, I'm very clean, I don't really drink that much, I'm on a much different level, so if I do have something bad, I really feel it. But I don't worry about it. I've got that knowledge, I know exactly what I'm doing the next day, just like Lauren's doing now. And it just gives you that peace of mind that you don't have to go, oh my God, I'll start on day one of this plan I'm doing. It doesn't have to be like that. I think it's just a lot different.
I mean, that actually sort of ties into when we talk about the 6 things that we decided we're gonna have as our kind of 6 things to take away. The one of the ones that I sort of said was, if we're all right to sort of move on to those 6 now. I'm going to actually start with
I'll talk
forever. So the 6 things we need to take away. Actually, the third one said, but it ties in nicely to that, is don't be afraid of failure. It doesn't need to be perfect. If you fall off the wagon one night, I'm not saying it's an excuse to do it, but if you fall off the wagon, if you come away from the process one night, don't think, well, that's it, I've blown it all. It's one night. If you have absolutely everything perfectly nailed on for 2 weeks and then blow it out for one day, how much difference do you think that's going to make? Not a great deal.
No, I fail at loads of things.
It's like somebody having, McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, and then Friday night having a salad. How much difference does that salad make?
Yeah.
None.
Exactly.
So switch it around. The odd thing doesn't matter. The odd day when you don't train or you don't train particularly brilliantly, it doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. It's what you do over a week or a month or 6 months or a year that make a difference. So don't be afraid to not get it 100% right. If I just do another 2 and then you let Greg witter on for a little while.
Have you got all technical?
I'm off. So first real big one, which we've kind of said all the way through, is find your reason. What is the big number one reason why you are doing this? Lauren was talking, it's I want to have children. Don't make it, I want to look amazing for a Christmas party. Just make it something which is life-changing. The other one that I had is really, we talked then about what's the sort of big life-changing thing that you want to do. The other one is set some short-term goals, and I'm not talking what you can do in 6 months, I'm talking the back end of next week. So if essentially to get to your long-term goal, you need to lose 5 stone, don't concentrate on losing 5 stone. Concentrate on losing a couple of pounds for next week, because if you're going to go and try and train for a marathon and you've never run before, that's like saying, right, well, I'm off out for a 26-mile run. You are going to fail. You're not going to, if that's your focus, right when you start training, you are not going to make it. So to use the running analogy, you want to try and, go out and run for 15 minutes. Or one thing I'll quite often use with clients who are looking to kind of drop clothes sizes, and all women tend to have this, is this item of clothing which you can get into, but it just doesn't quite fit, lose an inch. So just a little tiny bit off, and that will fit absolutely perfectly. So get that out of your wardrobe, hang it up every morning, wake up, see that item of clothing. Now, if you do what we are asking you to do for a week, 10 days, you're going to fit in that. And if you do that every single week, that inch coming off every week, all of a sudden becomes 4 inches, 6 inches, go from inches to centimetres, but to 34 centimetres in 12 weeks. Do you know what I mean? We haven't aimed for this. This is just what's happened over that period. So that's my 3 anyway.
Okay. So I just wanted to add to that a little bit as well. Like for me, you know, the weight loss is great, but my whole goal is to get the client feeling as healthy as possible as well. Like Lauren, she was talking about that. She actually feels a lot better. That, you know, once you get a client into a state of health, then the fat loss becomes a side effect, and you have to enjoy it as well. If you're losing weight but you're not enjoying it, then it's not really going to be sustainable again. So you have to be feeling really good. I know personally for myself, when I'm not eating well and I go back onto my healthy eating plan, or just not my healthy eating plan, just the way I eat, then I feel a lot better. So when I'm not eating right and I look at myself in the mirror, I don't look any different, but you actually have a different kind of perception about yourself. It's weird. And then when you get eating well again, it's like nobody thinks you look any different, but you're like, yeah, I feel good, you know?
Feel a bit excited, not on a fat day.
Yeah. And it is all in your head. So being on a really healthy food, you know, I'm not talking about rabbit food, but really healthy, good stuff, it does give you kind of a different mindset as well. So it is all heavily linked. So I'm just going to go into my 3 as well. And number 1 is you have to take responsibility. I know a lot of people kind of are like, oh, you know, you don't understand my story and all this, but you have to take responsibility for the position you got yourself in. There's no one else to blame. Anybody can go around blaming other people, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And I'm very, very harsh and blunt with this kind of stuff. I do upset a lot of people. You know, I'll hold my hands up. You know, a lot of people do get upset with my approach sometimes, but you do have to take responsibility for your actions. And once you do that, you'll be in a much better place to start better yourself.
I don't know what you're not saying is being a complete downer about it and be kicking yourself, but just accept that you've got yourself to there, but you've also dragged yourself in here and about to make some changes. So, you know, it's an absolute positive attitude to shift.
Like that with huge integrity. You do have to just like accept the point, you know, whether you accept it or not, you are in that position. It's a lot easier to accept it and start fixing it than just sit there and start blaming and being in self-pity. Sorry to say, but that is my number 1 reason. And then number 2 is you've got to see it as it is. Don't blow everything out of proportion. You know, for example, if we're doing a 12 weeks program, for example, and we're getting like 3 dress sizes off or 2 dress sizes, you know, see it as it is. It's only 2 dress sizes. It's not a big deal. You know, it's not going to take that much with a strategy to put that in place and start getting results. It's a lot harder when you. Well, I want to talk about role models as well with that. So it's a lot easier when you do something that somebody else has already proven with their success. So, for example, like Lauren, you know, the system is obviously there to get her results in 12 weeks. You know, follow what Lauren, you know, follow what someone else has been successful in. That's a really important thing. So you have to see it as it is and not blow everything out of proportion. It isn't as bad as it seems. Number 3 for me is you have to make the approach and take action. You know, the biggest killer for people is not going to play wondering what if. I'm a big believer in taking action. I also coach personal trainers on their business, and a big key for them is they don't take action in their own business. So that's just an example. You've got a decision to make. For example, and I was wondering whether to do it or not because it's in December, and I was just wondering whether to book it. And I'm spending a week somewhere else other than England.
I wasn't invited.
Yeah, but I was just like really indecisive. Shouldn't I? And it's somewhere I've never been before. And I thought I've always wanted to go and have the opportunity to go. I just thought, what am I even bothered about? You know, it's great to go away. So I was like, right, let's do it. So when you're stuck in a place of indecision, it can be, you know, it can mess with your head a lot. So it's the same with fitness. If you're wondering whether to do it or not, if you're wondering whether to do it, you know the answer, and it is do it. So rather than just pondering, should I, shouldn't I, just get on with it and take action. So they're my kind of 3 very direct approaches. Do it!
Where is it you bought to go? Is it Blackpool?
Blackpool. Bit of a road trip around Finland and Sweden. Somewhere I've never been. Yeah.
You know, people watching this going, yeah, wait till he's got kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't have kids, so I can do these things. But yeah, so we'll wrap it up there. We want to take a few questions. We haven't got loads of time, just 5-10 minutes. So if anybody's got any questions, please post them now. We'll try and answer as many as we can. If we don't get around to them, then we will obviously include them in our next videos, so you can get some value out of those as well. So we'll just hang on a few minutes and just let you guys tag away.
I think it's worth just reiterating as well that our next one, number 2 in our series of 3 that we've planned to do at the moment.
Yeah, 3 webinars
is on nutrition, and that should be a really interesting one because there's a few things, and you'll find this across the whole of the fitness industry, that there's lots of different opinions. And myself and Greg actually disagree on a couple of bits and pieces, nothing completely fundamental. And so I'm also a black belt, so we're going to do that on a separate webinar, and you'll be able to back us. Well, no, I think we're going to have a discussion about it, and it'll be there's different options and kind of there's lots of ways of working at things. We can have very different strategies for different people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the nutrition is really. This is why we kind of structured everything this way, is because everybody always talks about nutrition is key. And like I said, you can go on Google, find out lots of good plans, but there is that kind of missing key element, isn't there, with the mindset?
Yes.
Yeah. And Great Britain is at its heaviest, at its fattest, and you can go down any street now, and there's opportunities to join gyms, get advice. I think a lot of people don't actually even talk to each other anymore.
No.
And that's what we're creating here is like a really nice community. So the clients all talk to each other, which is proving to be really good.
Yes.
Like groups, and we want to heavily introduce that, the community side to it, because no one really talks to each other. Like, for example, if you pass Lauren on the street, and she looks at you, you're like, what's she looking at? But if you got chatting to her, and she started telling you her story, if you were part of a community, and she explained how she got from A to B, I think people are really lacking communication. It's
quite inspiring for other people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine us sitting here, we can hang out in gyms all day, but to hear it from somebody who's been through the whole process and really succeeded with it, I think is really quite inspirational.
Yeah. We haven't got any questions yet, but we're going to wrap up in about 3 minutes. So I know there's a little bit of a lag on the Wi-Fi, so if anybody has any questions, we will get back to them on the next videos anyway. Background music.
Yeah.
Is there anything we could add just while we're wrapping up?
Possibly that if people are watching this another day, not live, that maybe questions can be thrown onto our Facebook page.
Yes, we might even have a comment box underneath this.
Right.
Anyway, so we can get comments straight through, which would be pretty cool. We actually have got a question. So can you tell us about the 12-week plan? Okay, we've got a very keen one here.
This is, what is that, the nutrition plan or the training plan, or just the whole thing? Or if I can, if you can specify on that, that'd be cool. But if I kind of give you a little flavour of just the whole process. So, and this webinar isn't about selling any products, but basically what we do is we would bring people in and have basically a very, very in-depth discussion about where they are now and where they're looking to go. All these sort of things we've talked about. So that's kind of the first part of the process, is to understand where that person is and where mentally they are to start with. How it will work in practice then is you start coming and training in our gym with us, with members of our team 3 times a week. Everything is kind of set to work at your level. There's a whole nutrition formula which is already done for you, really easy to follow. The training itself is all set so you can kind of jump in and do it at your level and progress at your level, but then work as part of this whole community. And we find it works exceptionally well with people. But then you obviously get all the contact with myself and Greg and members of our team as well throughout the whole process. So it's very, very in depth, and hopefully a lot more than you would get from, say, somebody who's just doing personal training, which we've all seen some shocking stuff out there. So this will be mindset that we cover, this will be nutrition that we cover, this will be very specific, really effective exercise that we cover, which we'll talk more about in the third webinar about effective exercise and how to make it absolutely count and, really.
And we do everything in small group training or private training, so it's not like you're kind of just jumping around in the field in a boot camp. We get our private, our group training as close to our one-to-one coaching as possible. That's really kind of key, and you're a specialist for that.
Yeah, this is the product that we have for you is an absolute quality product. It's proven, it has results. It only has results if people buy into it and really go with the process. But you see what Lauren's done in 12 weeks. Not everyone will get that sort of result. It depends on the person, depends on the body type, depends how they react to the diet and the exercise. But we see some absolutely stunning things.
Savio says nutrition is key. I really enjoyed the mentoring tonight. I am solely hoping to get healthier, not fussed about weight loss. Yeah, so I mean, it is about getting healthy. You will burn body fat when you do things that way. And it is all about being healthy. Like I said before, if you can do a plan where you lose a lot of weight, you can not eat for 2 weeks and lose weight. It's not going to feel very good. It is about being healthy and like feeling good in your own skin, that kind of thing.
I think people get a lot from doing these things with us. So it's almost as we've mentioned.
Oh, actually, drop dress sizes.
Through the whole process, there's a lot of benefits from it. So, when people say, well, what do you get from it? Well, you'll lose weight, but then how about you're going to sleep really well through the night, and you're going to have an absolute ton of energy, and you're going to be really mentally switched on, and you're going to be really positive, and you're going to run the kids ragged around the park at the weekend, and your skin's going to be great, and you're going to have wonderful hair, apparently, and you're going to be instantly more attracted to the opposite sex. That one is a bit.
Yeah, so Sabi just said, what time are the gym times are you doing training over the weekends? Yes, we do group training morning and evening, 9:30 a.m. at the moment and 6:30 p.m. and also training on Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. This is for the drop dress size challenge.
Yeah, so drop a clothes size.
Two dresses sizes.
Two clothes sizes, which we think is really quite doable. Obviously, this is for you guys that are watching this live. And I'd say keep your eyes open because we're going to be throwing something out with regards to that program relatively soon.
Sammy is actually enrolled on that, which is cool.
Oh, really? Yeah. Fantastic. You've got something amazing to look forward to.
So like we said, the next two webinars, we're doing this in order of importance. So this is all about mindset today. The next webinar next week, we would love to see you there. It's going to be all about nutrition. That is going to go into some mega depth. We're going to blow your mind with how we do our nutrition.
We're going to absolutely bust some myths next week, aren't we?
Yeah. And then obviously, we believe the third thing that comes is the training. Obviously, it's very effective when you do it, but you have to get these things right in order. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. So
when you put all three together.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
It's all good. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope that's really helped. Any sort of feedback, if you want to send me emails on greg@gregjohnsoncoach.co.uk. I'm happy to answer any questions. If anybody's asked any questions I've not got back to them on this webinar, I can answer questions on the email. Or you can go find me on Facebook as well, and also John Preston on Facebook.
Yeah, find me on Facebook.
And the company is Very Private Training, so it's veryprivatetraining.com. So you can go on our website. It's not completely finished, the website at the moment, but you can go on and there's a lot of information on there. You know, and you can apply for training because we have an application process on all our training. It's not just a case of do you want to do it or don't you. We do want to, again, you know, make sure you're going through the right process, make sure you're right for us and we're the right people for you. Otherwise, it's not going to work long term. Okay.
Excellent.
All right. So thank you very much, guys, and we'll call it a night.
See you next week.
Next Thursday.